You're posting every day, posting on every platform, yet your business is getting no new leads from the content. Everyone always talks about posting to get new leads in and you're doing everything they're saying, but you're wondering where the actual ghost town is that you're living in because there's nobody knocking on your doors. Now, believe me, I was the same way. I know how frustrating it is, how much time you're spending editing, making ideas and trying to stay consistent and wondering if you should actually be focusing your pursuits on something else that should bring in more money for your business. I've done that time and time again. That's why my first wellness startup actually failed. Now, with today, welcome back to the Followers to Dollars podcast, which is where we're going to tell you how to monetize your audience in really simple strategies that you can do and make a few tweaks. Today is talking about why your content isn't converting and how to fix it fast. If everything I said at the beginning of this episode is resonating with you and you're ready to actually make that change and get some more leads into your business, this episode is perfect for you because we're going to cover 3 separate things today to show you why that's not working and how to fix it, okay? Number 1, we're going to get into why your content isn't converting, even if it looks great. You got the best cameras, the best lights, but still crickets, no cash to that bottom line. We're going to talk about why that is. Number 2, we're going to look at the missing piece of your content and the messaging that actually makes the money. And lastly, number 3, always the most important one, how we're going to fix that with a system, a content system, and not just posting more. So you can actually make a lot more leads come in with higher quality posts in a specific way with frameworks versus posting 100,000 times a month, wondering when something's going to just stick. Okay, I've been there myself. We're going to go through everything that I've learned over the last 8 months. I've really dived deep into the research of what converts versus what doesn't. And the first thing I want to touch on here is under why your content isn't converting. That's the most important thing to understand. So you know to not do that or not keep doing the thing that's not working. Okay, identify this problem. Number 1 is you're speaking to everyone, so you're reaching no one. Listen, hear me out. I'm not saying you got to niche down insanely, but this is when I was guilty at my first wellness startup doing this. I'm going to give you a great example. I wasn't specific enough in the problem that I solved. My wellness brand, I was able to do gut health, mental health, fitness, nutrition, sleep, anxiety. There was a lot of different facets of what I did. So as a result, people with anxiety, as an example, let's just say they would see a post about gut health, and then they would see a post about sleep, and then they would see a post about something else. And then after maybe 3 or 4 posts, maybe there'd be a post about anxiety. Now, granted, as I did help a lot of people, if somebody with anxiety is seeing a bunch of different content pieces still related to wellness, even though I thought that was my niche, they're thinking, well, this guy doesn't specialize in this one thing. I don't want a generalist. I don't even know if he's able to do anxiety because he keeps talking about gut health and all this other stuff. So look at your current content right now. How diverse is your content system or your content frameworks? Are you talking about the same philosophy or the same concept week after week, is what you should be doing? Or are you mixing and matching and there's no real structure and consistency to the posts that you're doing in terms of the substance? You can be consistent online, which I was with my wellness brand, but it wasn't consistent with the message for the ideal prospect that I wanted to help. So now as an example for Hive, we don't generalize in everything, okay? We hyper focus on entrepreneurs and C-suites. We help them with content, podcasts, and personal branding and how all of that ties together to create a content ecosystem that works for them. And granted, there's a bunch of different other pillars that we talk about and infuse into our content, but we're always talking to entrepreneurs and C-suites who are struggling with getting lead generation from their content, whether that's a podcast, whether that's their social media, or whether that's their website. All of those 3 things work together and they're under the same hood of personal branding and entrepreneurship. You see what I mean there? Look at where your content is generalized right now, and that's most likely why nobody is listening and connecting to you, and that's why people aren't following you. Is because nobody follows a generalist. If I have a hyper-specific problem, I want to go to that specific person because that's what they talk about. I'm not saying you got to do the same topic every single week. However, you got to be under the same hood. Okay, same hood. Let's get into over here why your content isn't converting. This is my favorite one, and this is the new trend of 2025, especially for monetizing your audience. We have been told to give value, and then people will come in return. Listen, I've been giving value in my wellness brand for 5 years, and not ever did I get a consistent cash flow month. I wondered, I was like, why is that? Everybody's saying value, yet I'm not seeing any results come in. Educational content is good as an upper funnel content piece. It's good to get discovered, it's good to get eyeballs, but it's not going to convert them onto a booked call or a lead within your CRM. The type of content that actually converts is not educational anymore. It's not informational. I can get information a million different ways. And normally, if I'm going to the internet, I want free information. I don't want to pay. That's what most people are doing for your content, especially if it's educational. And the way to switch that, I'm going to tell you this right now, is I stopped posting educational content and I started posting, here's why you struggle with X, Y, and Z. Or here's how I do X, Y, and Z. So as a great example, let's just think of one off the top of my head. For somebody who's an entrepreneur, I don't say anymore, here's 3 different things that you can do to improve your personal brand. No, that's not going to bring cash into the business. Instead, I'm going to say, here's the 3 biggest mistakes I see entrepreneurs make, and here's exactly how I solved 3 of those exact problems for my business and how it made me $10,000 extra dollars. See what I mean there? Now I'm not saying, here's how to do X, Y, and Z. I'm saying, here's how I, with this little side thing. So you can see that it has a knowledge gap, almost, to say the least, is I'm telling you, I know exactly what you're struggling with. Here's exactly how I overcame it. And at the end, if I'm a smart content creator, I'll say, look, I gave a free resource. I want to send it over to you. Drop a comment below saying brand. I'm going to send it to you personally. Or if you want, click the link in my bio. I'm going to tell you exactly how you can help move your brand into a lead generating machine. So it went from, hey, here's some information that I hope you enjoy, to here's why you struggle with X, here's I know exactly how to get over it, and then here's how to work with us. Can you see the difference there? That's the type of content that converts versus the type of content that builds awareness. Now, don't get me wrong, posting educational content is still beneficial for eyeballs and awareness, but your entire content strategy can't be reliant on how-tos and education because nobody buys that. It's all free on the internet. Especially with ChatGPT, nobody's going to pay for free information. They need you to solve their problem and tell them exactly how you know how to do it. Does that make sense? Okay, let's keep it moving. The other thing is having no clear CTA. This is my pet peeve. I see entrepreneurs all the time post all this great content, yet they don't say, here's what I do, here's how to work with me. Social media should be your funnel into your website, into your lead magnet, into your CRM, whatever that is. If you're posting all this content and you have no way for somebody to work with you, what do you expect them to do? I always say for all my clients and myself, I've learned this, and I've been in the startup game way before I was even an entrepreneur with my wellness brand. The philosophy we always embodied was assume your prospects are absolutely clueless. You know a lot about your business, granted we all do, and that's why we have a little bit of a curse of knowledge. We know exactly what we do, how to do it, and what that process looks like. For somebody just discovering you though, they have no idea how to work with you, what you do. So you need to call that out every single time that you're going to post something and want somebody to come into your business. So a great example is if I make a great piece of content like this on my YouTube or my podcast, on Spotify, whatever it is, because I know I want you to convert and I want to have a conversation with you and I want to help you in your business, as I've helped so many other entrepreneurs and myself, I'll say, look, if this content's resonating with you, click the link below. I give out a free personal branding playbook every single week that tells you how to monetize your audience and build your personal brand with content systems that actually work. It's 100% free. I send you 1 email a week with just the information and you can take it and implement it today. You see that? You see how I'm telling you exactly what to do? And by the way, you can click that. I actually do link it between or below every show. So you can join other entrepreneurs and C-suites within my Legacy Builders community. Again, you can actually do that. But can you see how the clear call to action tells you where to go, what you're going to get, and how to implement exactly what I'm promising I'm going to give you? You see that there? Improve your calls to action. Tell people what you do, who you help, and how you do that, and then tell them to go book a call with you or whatever your sales process is. Okay, let's keep it moving here. Let's talk about the missing piece, which is messaging that makes the money. I always say most people's content is very generic and it's very boring. Your content has no backbone. It's got no spine. I'm guilty of this. I used to always, walk on eggshells. I don't want to offend anybody in my content. I don't want to hurt my prospects' feelings. Now I say, screw that, man. I'm going to have an opinion and I'm going to say my opinion very loud and in an authoritative way. So that way I call it out and I really, really resonate with you. So before I would be like, something, hey, if you're an entrepreneur and you really want to grow your personal brand and you're struggling, here's how you can, nobody's going to listen to that. Now I'm going to start the podcast or the content saying your content sucks and that's why you're getting 0 leads. Here's exactly how to fix that. I now go from, hey, I can help you, to somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody who's done it time and time again. And here's exactly how I'm going to call you out on your bullshit. And so you can listen and actually make a proper and informed decision to move your business forward. Have a spine, have an opinion, and don't just throw generic content out. Everybody's doing generic content. Have an opinion, because that's what your personal brand is all about. Look at Andrew Tate as an example. Again, extreme example. But do you think he was saying, I hope you listen to me? He's saying, no, here's what I think, here's what you think, and here's why I'm right and you're wrong. So you can see how that really jars out, and it has a backbone to connect with your audience in a way that breaks the pattern. When you're scrolling Instagram or your prospects are scrolling, if they're seeing a bunch of generic content, there's no reason for them to stop. However, when you call them out on their bullshit, that's a pattern interrupt, what we call a pattern interrupt in psychology, to get them to have a little bit of a shock factor and say, that's exactly what I'm struggling with. And then boom, you've got them hooked and you can continue on. Have a backbone, have an opinion, have a spine in your content. Watch how that changes for you. Okay, let's keep it moving here. The other thing is you're posting for praise and not for profit. Now, the greatest thing I see, or the greatest mistake I see entrepreneurs make, is when they're posting content and they look at their analytics saying, oh my gosh, this got 8,000 views. Let's do more stuff like this. Okay, but look at what actually moves money into the business. Views don't really do it for me. Views make me $0 freaking dollars. However, a lead will make me money. So instead of me looking at the vanity metrics, which again are still important, see what actually is building some awareness, you can do that. Again, not your sole focus. What you need to do is look at the content that brought leads into your business. So every month, I do this with my team and myself. We look down, we look at all the content for the month. What got the most views, the most shares, most saves, of course. However, we also look at all the content pieces that actually brought in leads to the business. And that is what actually adds money into it, so we can double down on that the next month. Because if a reel gets 8,000 views for yourself, but 0 leads, versus if you have a different piece of content that gets 500 views, but brought in 4 leads, which one do you think you should double down on? I think the answer is pretty self-explanatory. You're a smart business owner. You understand. Look at what is actually converting the leads, what the messaging is, what the framework is, what topics you're talking about, even how you're saying it. Look at all the elements of the content that you're putting out that is bringing in business for you. Double down on that. Am I saying don't focus on the vanity metrics? Yes, to an extent, but focus on what actual content is bringing in the do-re-mi. Understand? Very simple and very straightforward. Okay. Let's go into number 3. I know we're coming up here on about 12 minutes-ish. We're going to talk about why posting more is not the answer and why you need content systems. I'm going to tell this with a story. I was having a call with one of my entrepreneurial friends the other day. He goes, Matt, I know you're in the entrepreneur space. I know you help entrepreneurs build their personal brand. You do content like a machine. I got a question for you. I go, okay, great, shoot. I'm driving to Toronto at this time, so I'm in the car. I have no notes in front of me. This is just like, I'm just having a conversation with my buddy. And he goes, I want to bring more leads and sales into my business. I know content is a huge important part of that. He goes, but my current content system isn't working as well as I thought it would, or I want it to. I go, okay, granted, everybody, we all have the same problems. But he goes, I think I need to just post double the amount. I think that's what's going to move the needle. And I said, hold your horses there for just 1 second. I've been in that exact same boat where I go, I'm going to post weekly YouTube videos, weekly podcasts, all these different platforms, YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff. And I said, that's what's going to resonate. It didn't. It really didn't. To just be black and white with you, it did not. Because if you're just posting for the sake of posting, and I say this in my other content and my other podcasts, if you're just posting to stay consistent, you're training your audience to not listen to you because they can tell it's just a throwaway post. They can tell when you said, oh my gosh, I didn't post today, so I need a post. Let me just get something out and let me just throw something on there. That type of content is not going to convert. You are far better off posting 3 times per week, really insightful, very strategic content pieces versus trying to do 2 per day every single day for the entire month, because the content becomes diluted. And that's when your audience gets to know you as like, well, this information kind of sucks. Like, I can find way other more important and value-packed information pieces anywhere else. So you might actually push them away doing that. Don't dilute your content, don't dilute your message, and don't dilute your brand. Look at the type of content that's working, like we just said, what's bringing in leads and what's generating awareness, and focus on that. Maybe it does take a little more time to put together some content pieces, which is fine because those are the ones that move the needle as you've seen within the data. So don't post more, post with more quality. And if you can do that 5 times a week, great. We do that at the Hive for all our clients 5 times a week. We know exactly what frameworks work. We got a team that helps you. So granted, it is a little more easy for you to stay consistent and make sure that you're actually getting those results versus if you were to do it yourself. So if you're doing it yourself, try to double down on the strategy that is quality, not quantity. Okay. So let's keep it going here. What else do we have? Ooh, okay. The other one is you need to have levels to your content. This is very interesting. This is something we do with all our clients here at the Hive too. Your target audience is always in 3 distinct levels or phases of their journey. So there's people who are problem aware, people who have no idea, and they have no idea that they even have a problem. And then there's people who are doing the problem or trying to solve the problem, but it's not working. So you can create content pieces for each of those 3 ideal customer avatars to either warm them up, because if they're a prospect that has no idea they have a problem, great. Now you've captured their attention, you're educating them, you're letting them know that this problem exists. That's another way you can do content. The other thing is for the person who is actually trying to solve the problem but is not getting the results. Content's going to sound a little bit different for those people. And then there's those people who have a problem. They know they have a problem, but they have no idea how to solve it. And again, you can tailor to that. So we have those 3 for every single one of our clients, as well for our own ideal customer avatars. And we create content exactly for that specific person. And we found that when we do that, we're able to connect on such a deeper level and convert way higher. So as an example, if I have somebody as an entrepreneur who has no idea that they have a problem with lead flow, and they have no idea that content can actually help with that, that content style is going to be more of an awareness-based, educative content piece. And for that, I'm not going to say, book a call with me, do X, Y, and Z. I'm just letting you know, hey, this exists. Pay attention. This exists. I'm just throwing that over to them. Good awareness piece. However, like as an example for this podcast right here, this is for what I call the frustrated doer. So if you are listening to this point in the video or this point of the podcast, you're somebody that is posting content, you're somebody that is trying to learn actively, and you're wondering why the needle isn't moving. Everything is tailored to exactly your situation. I'm not saying, here's how personal branding can help you. Here's how content can help you. You already know that content works magic for your leads as well as your business. So I have no need to actually illuminate you on that. You already know. We're wasting time on that. For this content piece, I want to tell you, here's why it isn't working. Here's what you're probably doing wrong. And here's a little bit of how we've helped solve this with other clients and ourselves. So we can connect with you on a much deeper level. And it can be a much more conversion-based offer or a conversion-based content piece. Because as you're listening to this, and if you're already struggling with the thing that you're currently struggling with, which is like content consistency or lead flow, I can say, look, if you're struggling with all this, you love this information, but if you want somebody to help you out and help you build these systems and actually post for all your content pieces and give you the ideas and strategies, we help with that. We help other clients all the time. We do that ourselves. This is our bread and butter. That's our top tier service. Why don't you have a call with us? Let's have a conversation. Let's just see if we're a good fit. See if we're in a good alignment. So you can see it's much more conversion based. I'm still providing value, but there's a little more conversion based versus if I'm just giving you the problem and saying, hey, here's what's going on. I'm just educating you. So look at the different levels of ideal prospects that you have. Where are they in their journey? Are they not problem aware? Are they problem aware? Are they problem aware and doing something about it? How can you tailor your content to convert them and gather more awareness with that? Anyways, folks, I wanted to say, if you like what you heard today, look at that link below. Don't miss out on that, because I give you my free personal branding playbook every single week. It tells you how to monetize your audience, generate leads, and build a personal brand that actually works for you on autopilot. And I give it to you every single week. I don't miss a week. It's 100% free, no credit card. And you can implement the strategies there instantly. It's not like you need a bunch of budget or you need a bunch of different strategies to go do it. You can implement it as you're reading it. So put your link below or click that link below, head over there. Let me know where to send that over to you. And if you like this content and you want us to help you see how you can build your personal brand, generate those leads, and handle the whole thing for you, because again, granted, I know you're an entrepreneur, you're super busy, let's have a conversation together. There's a link below, and head over to my website, see what offer looks best for you and what solution you need. Let's have a conversation, very casual, very laissez-faire. Anyways, folks, thank you for tuning in to the podcast. I'll see you next time on the Followers to Dollars podcast.